We're going to go to for the very latest on Cyclone Gabrielle to the Duty Minister, Labour Minister and East Coast MP, Kiri Allan is with us this morning in Tairāwhiti in Gisborne. Morena, thank you for being with us. First of all, I'm assuming you may not have heard of this yet to do with Central Hawke's Bay, but that must be worrying that already flood-damaged equipment is failing.
Yeah, look, we've seen patterns of that over the past 6 days here in Gisborne as well. That flood damage items that have come in to assist have failed, and teams are working pretty swiftly to rectify those failures where they occur. Look, we are asking people up and down these areas that have been impacted the most, please do conserve water. We are, for example, here in Tairāwhiti, and you can hear those examples down there in the Hawke's Bay. It is a critical issue. We're asking people in these regions to conserve and play their part.
A lot of businesses also can't operate at the moment because of the water issue. If they do, they would potentially get themselves in a lot of trouble. What's being done in where you are right now to financially support the workers and the businesses who are being affected right now?
There's two immediate supports that have been provided. Look, our industries here have been critically impacted. We're going to need immediate emergency response and, of course, a much longer thought through support, financial and otherwise, for our businesses that have been impacted. So two things. We've got the Mayoral Relief Fund that's enabled swift removal of silt and the likes. Secondly, there's an established business hub in regions like Kiri and Tairāwhiti that are providing task force green assistance. That's been supported by those initiatives of $4 million. That's immediate release funds for the primary sectors in particular. But Ryan, we know that this is going to be an expensive task to provide the support for both businesses and these communities that have been devastated over the last wee while. And I think that central government is ready to play our part.
All right, so you'll be making decisions on that today, would you? Do you imagine? Cabinet, when Cabinet meets?
We're making some decisions at Cabinet today, definitely providing a bit of an update, a stock take of where things are at, looking at the imminent and immediate needs for businesses and for communities and how we can provide further support, and of course commencing and continuing to engage in those longer term discussions around critical infrastructure. Here in Gisborne, one of our main state highways is out and the local roading network has been pretty substantively impacted. That's going to cost a lot of money, and we're under no illusion about that.
Yes.
What that will mean.
And what is your promise to Tairāwhiti this morning? Is your promise that you will fix every road and you will make sure that you rebuild everything that was there? Or, as the Prime Minister said yesterday, tough calls will have to be made? What are you promising people?
Yeah, I think what we're promising is that in the situation that we find ourselves, this is the 6th significant weather event since 2001 here in Tairāwhiti, and probably about the 8th or 9th since I've just been the MP. Huge disruption. Climate change is right here at our door. We need to be having serious discussions as communities around what adaptation measures are required to ensure that we get through this. So when we're looking at rebuilding, it's not rebuilding the status quo, it's rebuilding fit for purpose in an environment that's been significantly disrupted.
So some of those roads that are currently blocked, there's slips, they've been closed time after time after time, we may not rebuild this time.
Connectivity is at the forefront of our minds, so definitely we are promising that reconnection and connectivity will be enabled. But we do have to make some there are some bigger calls to be made about how we rebuild. Every single day in this building, I'm inundated with members from whether they be iwi, coastal communities, inland communities that have been impacted, engineers, etc. Everybody's really turning their mind to the task of what rebuilding better looks like, and the central government's role in that is going to be to undertake, one, what the cost of those rebuilding measures will be, and then certainly making sure that we've got the right people in the right rooms to make sure that we're planning effectively for what our new environments are like.
All right. To me, that sounds like some communities may be moved, or some communities may not rebuild where they have lived previously.
Managed retreat is something that, for us in the East Coast community, we've had to deal with on a small scale. Incredibly traumatic decisions had to be made, and we've done it, like I said, relatively small scale. But managed retreat has to be a part of the discussion that we're looking forward to as a part of adapting to our environment as a consequence of climate change. Those discussions need to be had at community level, local government level, central government level.
All right. Can we talk to you about looting? I know that you've said that there's no change, thankfully, at this stage to the number of people who've lost their lives because of Cyclone Gabrielle. The looting that's going on in Hawke's Bay and apparently a little bit in Tairāwhiti as well. Would you support, as Minister of Justice, would you support either a separate punishment or a new punishment, a harsher punishment for looters in times like this?
Look, it's not something that we're looking at all. What we are looking at doing, though, is making sure that we've got the surge support in region that's required. When you've got communications down and police can't communicate with police, let alone public, things do operate differently, and we saw that for a bespoke period of time. Now we've got over 100 additional police that have come into regions like Hawke's Bay, where there's been some reporting of different types of crime that have been occurring. We've also been able to bring in additional measures to assist with intelligence. Here in Gisborne, what we are seeing is a lot more police on the ground in uniform, a real physical presence to be able to provide that assurance. That's been the focus, and I understand that some of those measures have been assisting the community to feel a lot safer.
What would you say to the looters who are doing this?
Oh, get your act together, cut it out.
Kiri, one of the measures to stop this is also prevention, right? The police don't want to have to go after people in the first place. So within the justice system, do you think that judges perhaps should look at this as an aggravating feature, the fact that this burglary has been done within a national emergency? And so do you think sentences should reflect that and send a message to those who would consider doing it in the future?
Oh, look, the judiciary are required to undertake a full assessment of the circumstances in which any crime is committed. This will be one of those features. And look, there'll be other circumstances where people have felt anxious about getting food and the likes. But look, in a situation like this, it's an emergency environment. We're asking people to act responsibly. Don't do things like over-purchase items when we're on limited supply. And treat each other with dignity and respect, We've had a lot of cash that's had to be held in particular businesses because we're operating on a cash economy. What I was really heartened to see was things like police physically drive down the owners and operators of our four squares down to the bank to be able to deposit their money. That type of behaviour has been exceptional. For the people that have chosen to breach the social contract of treating others with respect in a time of crisis, look, they deserve their dues.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good that police are doing that, but my goodness, what a shame to have the police escorting your dairy owners down the street. Kiri Allan, thank you very much for your time this morning, as always. East Coast MP and Senior Government Minister Kiri Allan with us this morning.